What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of Club and Country. This is episode number 3. And we start today's episode by officially changing the position of Ransford-Yeboah Königsdorfer. Yes, he has become a striker officially now, and we swapped that with the right midfield position. He grew 1 rating to 65 overall. He already has 67 finishing. He's already got 6 goals in 4 games. It's been a red hot start for our number 35, and I love how quickly it took him to change that position as well. I think it only took like a week, maybe a week and a half for him to become an official striker, and that's when you know that's their correct position, when it takes absolutely no time whatsoever to change the position, develop into whatever position or role you want him to be in. And yeah, with the pace this guy's got, with the start he's had to the season, I think he'll be our talisman this year. I'll be going for him to win the Golden Boot, but of course most importantly, we'll be going for Dresden to win the title. So after a big win against Hansa Rostock in our last game in the last episode by 4 goals to 1, now going away from home here to try and make it back-to-back wins, and 7 minutes to go before the break in this game. This is a really tough one, you know. Of course, in last episode I talked about the fact that most games this season will be goal gluts, loads and loads of goals getting scored and conceded. In this game, it was only really the one chance, and thankfully we took it as well. Becker, Finn Ole Becker, who came in from St. Pauli, our very first signing of the series, got his first goal for the club, making it 1-0. And I mentioned him in the last episode when we signed him as well. Whilst he has CM and defensive midfield as a secondary position, I've pushed him up a little bit further to play as a natural central midfielder, as our 4-3-1-2 slash sorry, did I say 4-3-1-2? Our 3-4-1-2 slash 3-5-2 has become now a bit of an asymmetrical formation. He's not a holding midfielder. He is not. No way should this guy be sitting deeper. He looks way better when going forward, and he proved it in that game by scoring the only goal of the match. So 1-0 in that game, returning back home for the second one in today's episode, aiming to make it 3 wins on the trot for the first time this season. Daffner scores his 2nd goal of the season, and whilst Ransford-Yeboah is going to be our main man up top, every Batman needs a Robin, and maybe Daffner could be that guy in this team. 2nd goal of the season, he makes it 1-0, and I must say I was clinging on to the 3 points in this game as well. Thought it to be a bit of a walkover, only leading by 1 though, and almost surrendered the win right towards the end of the game. Our goalkeeper Brawl in this one made a couple of fantastic saves here to keep it at 1-0 in what was another 1-0 victory. So good to get 2 clean sheets on the board there, and our third clean sheet overall of the season. But again, totally different games to the ones I was expecting after the 4-1 victory over Hansa Rostock. Back-to-back 1-0 victories. They're not the most thrilling or most exciting of victories, but to be honest, wins are wins. I'll take them however we can get them. The most important thing to me is we get enough of them this season to win the title. So following the back-to-back wins there, we had our transfer deadline day in the 3rd tier with Germany, and I decided to try and make a couple new signings to the team. Armindo Saib, who plays for Bayern Munich's reserve team, I offered them Philippe Hossiner to go along with, I think, no money or maybe a little bit of money. Unfortunately, Bayern said no, but they would accept an under the valuation deal plus a mini sell-on clause for the centre forward. So really just mostly trying to get rid of our last foreign national on transfer deadline day, and also pick up 1 or 2 more youth players, or young players I should say as well. So Saib came in on a very cheap weekly wage and a very cheap transfer fee as well. He might have quite a low overall, just 57, but a 17 years old CF striker list position, already a 4-star weak foot, and relatively quick as well. Could be a decent impact sub as the years go by. So that was our first signing on transfer deadline day. I also rejected a bid here for Cade, Julius Cade. This is a midfielder I haven't used too much yet, but at 21 years old and already 63 overall, could be pretty decent. And the second man I tried to bring in on transfer deadline day was a very versatile player. I feel like quite a utility player, which is always good when you're doing an RTG and have a lack of squad depth. Jonas David from Hamburg, another former career mode side of mine. I offered them Philippe Hossiner, the final foreign player we had, plus £500,000, and Hamburg said yes to the deal. So that's a fantastic deal there as we swap out our final foreign national and bring in a really decent young talent. Now this guy's a centre half. He's 20 years old, 63 overall. He's got 80 strength, but holding mid is his secondary position. And to be honest, when I look at this guy here, I think he could possibly play maybe as a left midfielder or a right midfielder in our 3 at the back system if he wants some defensive cover. Again, defensive midfield is definitely somewhere he could play. Hold centre back as well with the height and the strength he's got. Really, I think he's quite a utility player. This guy could do a really decent job in this team. So Jonas David comes in. I did find it funny we had a bid from Wigan Athletic for Ransford-Yeboah, and I was like, nah, he's going absolutely nowhere after a red hot start, and that would do it for transfer deadline day. In the end, we raised more money money than we spent in the very first season. So absolutely perfect first transfer window of Dresden, in my opinion. We've got a 5-star youth scout. We got rid of all 4 foreign nationals here. We brought in some really decent young talents. We sold a couple of our aging German players that have no future whatsoever. And when you look at the young players coming in as well, most of them in their teens or 20 years old, or 21 in the case of FIFA as well. And I am very, very happy with the business we did in the first transfer window. The groundwork laid down in the very first summer here with Dynamo Dresden. Very, very pleased with what we've done in our first summer transfer window. So it's 1.5 mil left in the budget as well. I forgot to mention that there's 1.5 mil left over as well. So what I might possibly do is look to play the pre-contract game in January. Do I try not to abuse pre-contracts in FIFA Career Mode nowadays? Because it is a very, very simple way of getting in really good players and only having to pay their wages and not a transfer fee as well. You do of course have to pay a sign-on bonus, but I think I probably will leave the money all the way until the summer, unless I can spot a decent deal for a young player in the January transfer window that I can sign on a permanent deal in this season. So yeah, I could play the pre-contract game, but I think I'll probably avoid it and just look to keep the 1.5 mil till the end of the season. As you know, if you keep money in your budget for the next season, it carries over, and you normally end up with a bigger budget than you would have if you spent it. So yeah, transfer deadline day over. We had another scouting update and an academy update. Unfortunately, no players making our academy from the second batch of scouting. And also look at our squad now, as we are officially finished until January with this team, and I've got to say again, I'm really pleased with it. It's become a fully German team already after the very first transfer window. I really like some of the youngsters we've brought in. I'm particularly keen on Finn Ole Becker. Greilinger looks okay. Pfeiffer as well, very, very strong indeed. Not the best of starts for him, but of course the main man to start the season off, as we know, Ransford-Yeboah, now officially a striker. I like Diawusi as well. What you'll be noticing is we're top of the table after our first 6 games, 5 wins in 6, 1 defeat, yes, but right now leading the way in the Free Liga. What you'll be noticing is that Diawusi now is playing on the left-hand side, and I'm starting him in most of our games because whilst we have just had back-to-back clean sheets, and I've talked about how it could be quite hard to defend with this system playing 3 at the back, which is something I'm not too familiar with, and there's no official fullbacks or wing-backs. I want to be the top scorers in this league this season. With Ransford-Yeboah leading the line, we certainly have that chance, and for me, this year, it's going to be all about scoring as many goals as possible, and this guy, who I just mentioned, I'm really pleased I put him into the starting 11 ahead of Maya Diawusi. This guy is absolutely rapid. He's got 90 pace. He looks like a great inside forward on that left-hand side and scores his first of the season early on into our final game of today's episode. Makes it 1-0. He's got such electric pace, this kid, as we're still leading by 1. 41 minutes into the game. No goals in his last 2 games, but returns to get back on the score sheet in this one. Ransford-Yeboah makes it 2-0. He's going for the golden boot this year. He'll be our talisman, no doubt about it. Kind of a carbon copy to Diawusi goal, really stepping in from the left and finishing home as he makes it 2-0 to Dresden. And I mentioned it very briefly just a moment ago there. We do want to be the league's highest scorers in this division, no doubt about that. I want to go into every single game feeling as though I could put 3, 4, 5 goals past my opponents. 12 minutes after the restart, still leading by 2. Diawusi bags his brace and makes it 3. And at this point, I was just absolutely dominating, showing no mercy whatsoever. Top of the table to start the season off, 5 wins in 6, looking on course for our 6th win in 7. And again, I want to be ruthless in the very first season, make a statement. We're too good for this division. We need to be playing second-tier football in the second season. And as things stand, start the season off, we're certainly looking favourites to win the title this year. Ransford joins Diawusi with a brace in this game. That is goals number 7 and 8 for our number 35, I believe. What a start for Ransford-Yeboah. 4-0 Dresden, and with 21 minutes to go, still leading by 4 goals to 0. Maya comes off the bench, and as Becker finds Will also off the bench. And number 19, who's been dropped to the bench after the start of the season for Diawusi, comes off the bench to grab our 5th goal with 20 minutes on the clock, and that would do it. Final score 5-0 Dynamo Dresden, biggest win of the season so far, and after back-to-back 1-0s, this felt much nicer. Yes, of course, I'm always happy to keep a clean sheet, don't get me wrong, but I want to score goals, man. I want to score as many goals as possible in Season 1, and we are indeed off to a red-hot start in that regard. 5-0 the final score, 6 wins in 7, top of the table, 2 points clear right now. Second highest scorers in the division, 16 goals in our first 7 games with Ransford up top. I'm pretty sure not before long we will be the league's highest scorers and hopefully try and pull away at the top of the table as well. But that will end today's episode of Club and Country, guys. So big thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and if you have enjoyed today's episode of CNC, then please to drop a like. Much love to you all, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of Club and Country as we pick up some pace and aim to play through most of the first half of the season with Dynamo Dresden.